Welcome to today's custom deep dive. Imagine a fire chief who secretly moonlights as an arsonist.
Oh, wow. That is a dark image.
Right. It is a complete paradox. And that brings us to our mission for you today. We're exploring the profound tension between the beliefs we publicly profess and, well, the actions we privately take.
And we have a really compelling stack of sources to guide us through this. We are looking at the biblical text of Jonah chapter 1, a modern theological reflection, and some June 2026 devotional notes.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I want to know what actually happens when our actions become a complete contradiction of our stated values.
Well, the modern reflection in our sources hits this hard right out of the gate. It brings up a heavy case study about a senior pastor of a large church. He was exposed for committing long-term, hidden sexual crimes against vulnerable members of his own congregation.
I mean, that is just horrible. Reading that part of the source, I found myself genuinely stuck.
Yeah.
Like, how does a leader mentally compartmentalize to that extreme?
It requires intense cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, it makes me think of a containment failure in a submarine. You just seal off the leaking parts of your moral life behind these heavy psychological doors so the rest of the ship can keep sailing.
Just hoping the pressure doesn't eventually cause a catastrophic breach.
Exactly.
That submarine metaphor is perfect for this. Because what's fascinating here is how the journalists covering the story summarized the psychology of it. They pointed out this piercing insight.
Yeah.
The perpetrator couldn't possibly fear the God they claimed to serve.
Wait, really? That is a bold statement.
It is, but think about it. By completely walling off those actions, they proved a total disconnect between their public faith and their private reality.
That illusion of escape, thinking you can just seal off a room and outrun the consequences, it perfectly mirrors the ancient text in our stack.
Oh, absolutely. The transition from that modern reflection to Jonah is striking.
Right, because Jonah didn't just casually disobey God's command to go to Nineveh. He actively paid a fare, got on a ship, and sailed for Tarshish.
Which is the exact opposite direction.
Yeah. He is essentially trying to physically outrun an omnipresent being.
And look at what happens when that submarine pressure finally breaches. God sends this massive, violent storm to intercept the ship.
Which puts everyone else in danger.
Exactly. The non-believing sailors are absolutely terrified. They are desperately throwing their valuable cargo overboard just to keep the ship afloat.
But here's where I really want to push back, or at least point out the crazy irony here. Where is Jonah while the ship is literally sinking?
He is fast asleep below deck.
Right. Why is he asleep during a hurricane? The sources imply it is the sheer physical and mental exhaustion of trying to maintain this massive lie.
Running takes a serious toll.
But isn't it incredible that the secular sailors are wide awake to the danger while the supposed believer is completely asleep to the collateral damage his disobedience is causing?
It is a stunning visual.
Yeah.
It shows how hypocrisy expands to hurt bystanders. The people who don't even claim his worldview are doing all the hard work to save lives.
Totally oblivious that they've been dragged into his mess.
Yeah. So to figure out who is responsible, the sailors resort to casting lots, basically rolling ancient dice to see who the universe is pointing the finger at.
And the lot falls on Jonah.
Of course it does. So he is cornered. He confesses that his God made the very sea that is currently trying to sink them.
Which leads to this incredibly tense moment in verse 10. The terrified sailors look at Jonah and shout, "What is this that you have done?"
And that right there is the ultimate indictment. Because if we synthesize the mechanics of this story, that ancient cry from the sailors connects directly back to the modern reflection.
How so?
The ultimate tragedy of this disconnect isn't just the internal moral failure, it's the external fallout. It is when those who don't even share your beliefs are forced to call out your moral failures.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it is when the secular world has to look at the religious leader and ask, why are you acting like this?
That is heavy. So, bringing this directly back to you, the listener, drawing from those June 2026 devotional notes, we really have to ask, do your hidden habits and choices match the values you loudly profess?
It is a tough audit to do on yourself.
It really is. If an outsider watched your life today, what would they actually learn about your beliefs?
We have spent this deep dive analyzing how our actions inevitably betray our true beliefs. But I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over.
Go for it.
If our actions are the only true evidence of our internal convictions, what is a belief really worth if it never translates into action? Maybe if you want to change what you truly believe, you can't just think your way there.
You have to act your way into a new set of beliefs.
Exactly. Something to think about.